From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2139, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 31st, 2018. In the Republic of Chad, Ken Opskar, LA7GIA, has been released following his detention while on de-expedition there.
Ken was barely 1 day into his operation as a single operator, TT8KO, from the 31st Most Wanted DX entity when local police ordered him to cease operations on October 10th, pending an equipment inspection by the head of police himself. His detention in Chad went well past his scheduled end of operations on October 21st. He told Amateur Radio Newsline in an email on October 23rd that the Norwegian embassy had stepped in to talk to local officials. Meanwhile, he was safe and comfortable in his hotel, posting updates on the DX World website to reassure the amateur community that their emailed wishes were bringing him good cheer. By his earlier account, police had found all of his documents to be in order, but his detention continued. Ken's earlier post on the website said he believed the Chad's telecommunication regulator, ARCEP, had failed to inform local police of his plan to operate a de-expedition. As such, his gear has been disconnected and he had no further access to his radios or antennas. According to his online log, Ken had made 2,135 QSOs in CW during his 1 day on the air. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP.
Newsline's Stephen Kinford at N8WB has an update on Hurricane Michael relief efforts.
As the Florida Panhandle continues to piece lives and communications back together after Hurricane Michael slammed into the northern part of the state, hams assisting the northern Florida section of Aries have returned home after 2 weeks in the field, working 5-day rotations. Section Emergency Coordinator Carl Martin, KG4HBN, told Amateur Radio Newsline that the Florida Department of Emergency Management covered communications from shelters to county and state emergency operations centers. The hams relied mostly on HF, using 80 meters, and 40 meters relying on SARNet, the statewide amateur radio network of UHF-linked voice repeaters, as backup for handling traffic and other communications. Carl said that for 2 weeks, there were more than 50 operators either deployed or handling traffic and serving as net control at stations outside the affected areas. Efforts focused on the counties of Bay, Gulf, Calhoun, Jackson, Library, and Gadsden, all of which were heavily hit. In the meantime, Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker went on social media to formally recognize all hams' contributions in the disaster response effort.
More than a dozen YLs spent a recent weekend on a dry-docked submarine in Oklahoma calling QRZ.
There's nothing like calling QRZ from a dry-docked submarine in Oklahoma to make for a successful weekend. A group of 14 YLs from Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma climbed aboard the USS Batfish in Muskogee, where they operated on the HF bands for 3 days, beginning October 12th, and even slept on board as guests of the USS Batfish Radio Club, WW2SUB. With the help of the club's host, Wade Harris, KF5IF, they hung antennas and made use of the club's portable tower and one of its 3 radio systems, and even set up satellite systems. According to a post on the South Canadian Amateur Radio website, the submarine experience marked the first time some of the YLs got on the HF bands. By the end of the weekend, the team had logged 350 contacts while honoring 2 lost subs, the USS Wahoo and the USS Dorado. One highlight of the YL's experience, however, was something perhaps a bit more terrestrial. Virginia NV5F played her bagpipes for the team. According to Mark Klein, N5HZR, the YLs are ready to take another dive on the submarine next October, but meanwhile are looking for a similar site for a weekend operation in Dallas, Texas. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Ed Durant, DD5LP, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.